And so I think the most important thing that you're going to get out of this video is how to defend against the Sicilian. And so every chess player, you got to know what you're doing. When you see this pawn come here, oh, hello, and welcome back. Today we're playing a 1820 from Mexico. Looks like we're doing a Sicilian. All I really know is the open Sicilian, so let me play it. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's probably better moves, but I sort of know how to play this opening. We just develop this, we castle this way. At some point I scoot back because this pin can be dreadfully annoying. It looks like our opponent is well versed in this opening as well, but I have had this exact position many times. And so we have to take here at some point because it just becomes a problem. I always bring my rook over. Probably that's not what you're supposed to do. And our opponent is playing lightning quick. And so it's making me a little bit spooked, but we're going to just put our bishop in the middle of the board. He castles. Now, maybe it's time to think. I'm going to just defend the center. Probably we're going to see this pawn push, and then I'll be glad to just trade everything. My knight might want to come over here. Knight's coming over here. We see the pawn push. And, unfortunately, this structure that I've chosen, my queen is basically locked into this weird little cage over here. And so, I would love for my queen to have some escape squares. So I'm going to bring my knight over here so that my queen can at least access another square, because just being on this file seemed like problems. Now it seems like he's going to have a lot of stuff pushing on this side of the board, so I might want to destabilize my center a little bit and just go ahead and play this. I don't see why not. Maybe he's going to show us. Okay. Then my knight can get involved. Pretty sure that I have to do this, but now, if he takes and I take, he has this fork. This guy is playing so accurately, so fast. This is all of a sudden a huge threat. So if he takes and I take, this fork is still a huge threat in this position. Basically, I'm just hoping he doesn't see it, but from the way that he's been playing and how fast, I feel like we've got a quite strong opponent. Okay. He chose a different method. Did that actually take away this fork? I might scoot on over. That at least avoids this discovery, and it avoids this fork. Okay. What do I want to take back with? Probably I want to take back with the rook. And we might even get like a massive simplification, which would be pretty nice. I feel like he's the one applying pressure. I'm playing the white pieces, and I feel like I'm getting pressurized. It's not fun. But I don't think he's going to let us off the hook that easy. I'm surprised he didn't see... Maybe I calculated something wrong, but I'm surprised he didn't see all that forking business. Okay. If I take, that just puts his pawn in the middle. I kind of like the idea of him taking and me getting my knight to the middle. That would be quite fun. I can also throw in this check. Does that make any sense? So let's just... that was on the board the entire time. I didn't notice. So we're just going to hit him with that check, and then I feel like we're just going to come right back. And now we're in the same position, but I got an extra random pawn. So is that going to change the route of the game? Okay, so now that's a threat. So I'm pretty much just going to bring my bishop back. And if he does take, I'll get my knight to the middle of the board, and I'm quite happy. And now his king is in line for some check along the h-file at some point in the future. So that's just something to take note of. But his pieces, I feel like, are applying far more pressure on my side of the board than mine are. But I can get my bishop here, and then all of a sudden my bishop is looking at a pawn only defended by the king. Opens up some ideas for me, at least. Okay. So basically right now I have the option of scoot back and get taken by the knight, or scoot forward and get taken by, or at least, okay, I'm explaining that bad. I can trade my bishop for a bishop. This checking square, I feel like maybe this is the right idea. But now this fork, again, this knight is giving me a headache. What should I do about this gosh darn knight? I might just scoot here, but then he's almost definitely going to play that. And then if I scoot back, and if I scoot up and he pushes a pawn, okay, I can take that one. So I think I need to try and unravel my pieces somehow, to be honest. Getting the bishop here would also be nice. Okay. So temporarily this takes away pretty much all the great squares for my knight. Wait a minute. If he moves the knight, oh, it's defended by the bishop. Okay, so I think I need to scoot back. But if I scoot back, I'm attacking this pawn. That's all I know. I'm up a pawn, but still I feel like I'm getting just pressured. I'm not even sure what's the best course of action here. Hopefully he just leaves that pawn hanging in the middle of the board. That would be nice. But I'm thinking next get my bishop here. And once my bishop's there, yes, this pawn push, but it would be nice to just maybe even scoot my king over. Okay. Looks like there's a tactic. I can just take. And if he takes back, I take with check. So I think that might just be... You got to be careful when there's a pawn blocking two pieces looking at each other. Because this pawn, if I take this knight... Let's think about this just for a second. I take the knight. What are the options there? If he does take, I take with check. And then that's just, I'm winning. If I take, and he pushes back. So I think that's it. Almost just definitely, I take the knight. I sure hope there's something that I'm not missing something. I also kind of hope that he doesn't resign. I'd like to actually finish this game and get like an educational... Okay, so I think that check is very scary. This... I'm going to just scoot all the way back and defend that. Then maybe bring my knight back. I'm still, now I'm up a piece, but it's not so clear. So I might bring my knight back to then put my bishop here and force that. This check is also pretty nice, but I can't really get my pieces involved. So I'm doing this. Okay. Now I attack the queen. The queen comes here. Then I take. So I'm almost certain that that just... I can even maybe make him. Let's think about this. Here. Here. But then I just take the queen. Okay. I think that's what we're going to do. And miraculously... this knight is defending this. Unfortunately, this pins his queen to the king. So what he's trying to do is pin my bishop to my queen, but it's not going to work because I can actually... Mine is a concrete pin. His is just a relative pin. And so now there's nothing he can do. That's just a wrap. And so I feel like that was a nice defensive game, and then it was really just taken by one clean tactic that everybody needs to know. That's just something that you need to be aware of. And if you play enough tactics and enough games of chess, you'll just pick that stuff up immediately. So, all right, let's check this with the computer. I'll see you over there. And here we are in the analysis, and let's check this graph. The graph is telling a tale of a back and forth battle where one of us made a mistake, and I was able to capitalize on it. And then it looks here like I made another blunder somewhere along the way and gave up my advantage. He didn't see it, and I was able to get back on the horse. So let's check this out. I have 88% accuracy, 4 inaccuracies, 1 mistake, 1 blunder. And our opponent is 80% accurate, 2 blunders, 1 mistake, 2 inaccuracies. And so I think the most important thing that you're going to get out of this video is how to defend against the Sicilian. And so every chess player, you got to know what you're doing. When you see this pawn come here, you got to know what you're doing. The straightforward action is the open Sicilian. That's just what I play, and I've played it so many times that I just know the moves. And you can kind of play the same structure. So they're going to take most likely, then you take, they develop the knight, you develop your knight. I think this is called the accelerated dragon when they push this pawn over here. In which case, you develop your bishop to defend this because at some point it's going to get potentially really pressurized by a lot of pieces. And when you castle, it's going to be pinned. And so here, I think these moves are a little bit interchangeable, but you're going to want to defend this pawn in the center. So this pawn is pushing up here, and then your bishop's going to come behind because coming out doesn't really make any sense. And if you come here, then that cuts off your queen from defending the knight. So you push here. Now, the computer is saying that this is the best move. You want to play h4. I don't know about all that. That's scary. So I just put the bishop here. He plays a move, and then I castle. And so now it's completely even. He develops the bishop. I move this bishop back because, like I was saying, there's lines where, for instance, the queen comes here, and this bishop is over here, and then all of a sudden this knight is pinned, and if you move it somewhere, the queen can actually take this bishop with check. Okay? And so the queen coming here, attacking this pawn and attacking this knight, and if this bishop somehow ends up on this diagonal, or even just like this, and they push the pawn, and you can't move the knight anywhere without giving up this check. So like, what I do is I just scoot the bishop back. Now it's defended, there's no check, and then whatever happens with this knight, you're going to be all right. And just know, after all the development is over, this knight is kind of a liability, and you want to just trade it off for his knight. His knight is kind of attacking, and your knight is kind of defending. So you just want to get rid of that knight at some point. Best computer move is get rid of that knight, because it really is just going to kind of get in the way. Now, immediately what I was supposed to do was get the queen into the game, because trapping him in a little box next to my rooks wasn't the correct method, and even bringing my knight. So we get these trades, and it was the computer saying I really needed to break out, but it's still totally even. But now it's not, because basically he's taking a step forward, and I would be taking steps back. And so neither of us see that, so it's still completely even. Moving my bishop back to these squares, I didn't even consider that. I moved forward. Instead of moving back, I moved forward, because now it's defended by the knight. So we get this. I have to put the queen somewhere. This pawn is hanging right now. I don't know why I didn't see that. First, I saw the immediate threat of my rook, so I scooted the rook over. We trade. And now this free pawn, we get back. And now I basically have the option of scoot back and get taken by a knight, or just trade this way. And so here is where I missed. I missed the tactic. You can take this pawn, and if he takes back, then you get the knight. And so you would get your rook into the action, and you would get a pawn out of it, and take a pawn away from the center. So simple tactic, just boom, boom, boom. Completely missed that. And what's funny is, like, 2 moves later, he missed it. Kind of the same type of tactic, where I can take the knight, and there's nothing good he can do. And again, I could have done it here. And if he takes back, I take. And if he takes, then I take with check. Oh, rook sacrifice. But I just wanted to be safe because this check looks kind of scary. So I just brought the rook back. Defended against this check. Don't hate it. Then best move. Let's go. It defends this square, which potentially can get attacked in the future. And it enables this, putting my bishop here to force this trade. Then he makes just a hardcore blunder here. It just walks into a direct pin. So this is a relative pin. So it's like, if I move my bishop, I lose my queen. So it's like a relative pin. But this is an absolute pin. Like, he legally cannot move the queen anywhere else. And so he basically, that's how you look at the difference of a relative pin versus an absolute pin. There's nothing he can do. So at this point, our opponent resigns because it is a +7 advantage for us. And so the main thing we're going to learn from that is know your opening of this Sicilian, and then these little pawn tactics. That would have just decided the game all through right here. Just take a pawn and undermine the defense of a piece that's being attacked. And then be careful when you're putting two pieces on a file where there's a pawn defending something, because this type of tactic happens a lot. I would say the undermining happens less, but this type happens a whole lot. And if you even look, I can take this pawn as well. And so, trust me, this just happens a lot. And so I have fallen victim to it many times myself. And so, okay, I hope you were able to learn a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.